Hey, it's Bobby and Stacey here at the Triple Nickel overlooking Woodward. This is, by the way, a great spot as we get ready for the Woodward Dream Cruise. But we want to talk about a company here locally that has a special watch for M1 Woodward.
It's the Detroit Watch Company, and we're here with Patrick Abu. Did I say that correctly?
Ayub.
Ayub. Well, see, I did not say that correctly at all. I think I practiced once. I'm sorry, I've been distracted by the beautiful watches, and there's so many little things going on in every watch you make.
It's a watch. It's supposed to do that.
No. There's
gears.
There's coordinates. There's the D. There's all these wonderful things. How did you get started making watches?
Well, we started about 2003 designing for various brands. And fast forward a few years, and in 2013, Amy and I decided to start the Detroit Watch Company. Most of our friends were pushing us to do a brand, but we didn't have a story, so we decided to call it Detroit Watch Company based on the history of Detroit, the surrounding area. And then we started doing all the research, finding out, specific subjects that we can really celebrate in a timepiece. And one of our biggest sellers has been the 1701 collection and the M1 Woodward, which celebrates the first paved highway in the United States. And we have every actual city that Woodward crosses from Detroit to Pontiac engraved on the back of the case.
So your watch is really all about Detroit. All of your watches are. There's little suggestions and hints and nods, like in so many different places.
Pokemon, actually,
I'm not.
We haven't gone that one yet, right? Now, Patrick did say that there is a button on one of the watches. Maybe it's the 1701, but it
has the actual GPS coordinates printed on the dial. On one of the 1701 collections. So if you were to put that into your Google map, you would land at the Antoine de Cadillac statue in Hart's Plaza, I think, by the riverfront, and that's his landing spot when he founded Detroit.
So you had to do a lot of history about Detroit. Not only do you have to make watches, but you know your Detroit.
I know my Detroit. Amy knows it 10 times better.
Amy's your wife.
Yes.
So, Amy, you're the Detroiter. You went to Lawrence Tech and Oakland University, and you're the designer. And the horloge here, you actually based this on a clock?
Yes, it was an homage to the clock tower that used to exist in downtown Detroit. And, we really wanted to pay tribute to the clock tower and how that used to be the place where Detroiters would come to and celebrate their new year, similar to what you would consider a Times Square. So
it's absolutely beautiful. Where was this clock tower?
It was in what you would consider downtown Detroit, and they took it down, and it's no longer there. But
but now we could all wear it on our wrist.
We can all wear it on our wrist, and we can think about the history and what used to be considered the Detroit that many of us once knew. And as we start to reinvent Detroit, I think it's really important that we try to also remember all of the history and some of the nostalgia that existed in the city of Detroit. So
that's so true. And you fit so much history in one little watch. I mean, not only are these beautiful and fashionable, but there's a story behind every single watch you guys make.
Yes. We really feel like if we're going to pay homage to Detroit and the history of Detroit, and people want to feel this connection, whether they're living in Detroit or they're living outside of Detroit, because we do sell our watches all over the world, and a lot of people that have had to move away from Detroit still have this wonderful feeling and memories of the city. And so when they can look at their watch and the timepiece and remember a time that they were in Detroit, we're hoping that this watch will lend itself to that memory and to the history that they can pass on generation to generation.